have a chance to kill someone, don't hesitate.
Thanks for the advice.
Okay, hello and welcome to It's Always Stockholm in Los Angeles. It's me, Nate, and
more importantly, it's me, Will.
It's Will Noon. We are talking about a film that I had never seen until yesterday, that we talked about on the last It's Always Sunny recap episode called Die Hard from 1988.
I needed him to see this. This was very important for me. I was reading about it a little bit, and apparently it was, mixed reviews when it came out, but I, much like the rest of the world, currently think it is a classic. It is an American classic.
My step away from the art a little bit view of this movie is I did not think it was anything spectacular. But that is probably because I waited until 2021 to see the movie. Now, having said that, I can also see how this movie influenced basically every action movie after it and how different it was at the time. Like John McClane is just a completely different hero compared to John McTiernan, the director. His last film was Predator.
Right.
And so I was thinking about that, like, yeah, this is completely different. He's way more realistic, way more of like the everyman, and he's got flaws. He's not some superhuman.
Right.
He has there's problems in his life. He's got a serious problem with his wife and his family, and he's separated from them, and he's depressed. He doesn't really like himself very much, maybe. And I understand that aspect of it is cool. And I imagine if I had seen it in 1988 or around then, I probably would have been able to see how unique it was.
Right. But I have a terrible memory, so I don't remember what it was like compared to the other contemporary action movies at the time, which that's what you're saying I've read is true, because if you look at the other 80s action stars, you were like talking about Chuck Norris and Sylvester Stallone. I don't know if Van Damme was on the scene yet. Schwarzenegger, like they were just like all super action buff, muscly guys that could take on an army by themselves.
Right.
And in all honesty, like, Bruce Willis kind of does take on a whole squad by himself.
Yeah,
but
he does 13-1, right?
But he, well, technically, I guess he only takes care of 12 by himself, right?
Right. Carl Winslow.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that you're just wrong. I think it's not a time and place. I think in this particular situation, you're just too snobby and hip. That's all.
Why am I too snobby and hip?
Because
you're
it's a
pulling
great
that on
movie
me all the time.
Well,
I didn't say it was a bad movie. You were saying I was too snobby, and then I said, "Why am I too snobby?" And you said because it's a great movie, which would imply that
no, you're saying it's maybe a good movie, which I don't think is enough. I don't think it's enough to say that this is a good movie. If you say this is a good movie, then you're wrong, because it's a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that it had a long-lasting legacy, and it was a huge hit at the time, and it really put Bruce Willis on the map. And
right. Here's okay. Let me try and explain it this way.
Alan Rickman.
I think the Beatles are really good, maybe even great. I would say that I'm wrong. They're better than that, but I don't think that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that you're wrong. I would just say that you have bad taste.
Okay, so then I'm sorry. You're not wrong in this scenario. You just have bad taste when it comes to movies.
There we go. Now we're on the same page.
What I'm saying is that, like, you aren't able to appreciate the film. It's better than you think it is.
I just talked for like 2 minutes about how I appreciate the film and what they were doing.
And I'm telling you that it's not enough.
Well, the whole thing always just comes back to I waited too long to see it.
See, that I understand what you're saying. You're saying that you don't think it's a great movie because you didn't see it at the time. And I'm saying, no, that's not it. I'm saying it's you. It's you.
Yeah.
It's not the timing. It's you.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I got you. I just think that it's just like I'm just seeing it a little out of context, having not seen it until 2021. That's all I'm saying
that I don't think you need context. I think it is a classic, timeless movie that anyone who has good taste and is right can see. 50 years from now, kids are going to be like, damn, Die Hard, so good.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I mean, I am acknowledging its legacy and its impact. I'm just saying, I think I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more had I seen it a long time ago.
I guess you're just devolving, maybe, in that case. Anyway, let's move on. Disagreements abound.
Please. So, the director, John McTiernan, he, before Die Hard, the year before, he directed Predator,
Mm-hmm.
which is another movie where if you watch it in current day, it looks kind of ridiculous. Not as ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry. This looks way more ridiculous than Die Hard does now.
Mm.
The body mass alone.
I can't wait till we get there.
Schwarzenegger. You got Weathers. You got Jesse the Body.
Jesse the Body. You got the guy that shaves and then stops shaving and leaves the like razor blade hanging. Is that it?
Right. So speaking of Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger was offered the role of John McClane, and he said no.
Right.
Sylvester Stallone was offered the role. He said no.
So many people.
Apparently like Clint Eastwood. Like they really went all over the place.
I've got the list. Wait. Where is it? The role was offered to stars including Stallone, Richard Gere, Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, Burt Reynolds, Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte. Weird. Mel Gibson, Don Johnson. I have to pause as I say these so I can. Don Johnson. I don't know who he is. Even
Don
looking
Johnson,
at him.
Miami Vice.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huge 80s star.
Yeah. I don't.
Nick Nolte was in 48 Hours, which was another big 80s action movie. So I don't think it was that weird.
I'm just like seeing the picture of him, but it's also like from his Wikipedia and him in like 2015, so it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Richard Dean Anderson, which is not making sense right now. Oh, wait, hold on, MacGyver. Yeah, he doesn't look good in this photo. He does.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so MacGyver ruled. I was into that. Paul Newman, which sounds odd, but okay. And James Caan. James Caan. He looks familiar, but he doesn't seem like he would be ideal for the role. So do you know why Arnold didn't take the movie?
No.
Apparently he was trying to branch out at that point, and maybe it was a good thing he did. He branched out into comedy, and released in the same year, 1988, was Twins.
Hell yeah.
With our friend.
Yeah. Well, speaking of branching out a little bit, this was a branching out for Bruce Willis also, who is known for comedic work. I remember Moonlighting, the TV show. I remember, like vaguely, I remember it. And
right.
I guess that was what he was mostly known for at that time. Like this was his first major film role.
Yeah, and it was funny when I read that. Probably the same response. I would have never thought of the movie or the word Moonlighting.
Right.
But as soon as I saw it, then I was like, oh, wait a second. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he got paid $5 million, which seems like a ton.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this correct, but Die Hard is based on a novel called Nothing Lasts Forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that the book that came before Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe, I don't know what it was called, but that was turned into a movie with a similar vibe, and it was starring Frank Sinatra.
Right.
Which is like why the Paul Newman thing kind of makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of these casting choices that didn't work out do make sense in context of that. But that was, I think, 20 years earlier.
Yeah. So it was
the Detective was the movie that came out in 1968 with Frank Sinatra.
There you go.
And did you know that contractually, I guess Fox Searchlight or whatever, the 20th Century Fox, contractually they had to offer Sinatra the role?
Oh my God, they were probably like, please no, please no, please no.
But yeah,
like 70 whatever years old.
I think he was actually 70 years old or something like that at the time, and they were like, this doesn't make sense.
Do you want to do this movie, Frank?
You're gonna have to do your own stunts. One of them is jumping off a building
with a fire hose tied to your waist.
Yeah.
This movie has a just a funny pre-production kind of tale, because aside from all of that, like the budget was $25 million, which doesn't seem like that much, and so like there weren't a lot of high expectations for the movie because relatively low budget, not really, but kind of, and starring Bruce Willis, who was a TV guy, and Alan Rickman, who was a British stage guy.
Yeah, this was his first movie. Like,
I know, I saw that. That's insane. I mean, he's so good. He's
yeah,
so
he's
good.
great.
And I haven't seen any of the other Die Hards. Maybe that'll be like the next month of Patreon podcast. We're feeling lazy.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it seems universal on the internet that there is no better villain in the series than Alan Rickman. So they're probably a little bit bummed that they really had to have killed him off. Like, he couldn't have survived that.
Right. Or maybe they could have brought him back as a twin brother.
Yeah. We did talk about that, the twin brother thing.
Or would it be ridiculous for them to just like cast him as a different character? I think that'd be awesome. Like, just as like a fuck you to anyone who is like, but, and it's like, it's a movie.
Yeah, he loses.
None of these people are real.
He loses his light German accent and just takes on his like normal British accent. It's like, no, this is a different guy. It's a different guy. He's got a wig.
Yeah.
No beard.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be like 10 years later. He could cut his hair.
Yeah, there were a lot of ways around that.
Maybe he gains 50 pounds, a la Mac.
Yeah, it's so amazing how like these two guys. This was Bruce Willis's first starring role and Alan Rickman's first fucking movie, and they are both incredible.
Yeah.
Like the casting director really should have got a bonus for that because it was pretty spot on.
Also, the casting director may have not wanted Willis at all. Might have been his like last choice. So should he get the bonus? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they were probably like, when they say that, like there were low expectations. Like I totally get that because you're aiming for Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Eastwood, and you end up with this normal looking guy.
Goofy guy from like a comedy TV show. And I was also reading that at the time, crossing over from TV to movies wasn't a thing.
Right.
Like,
that makes sense. Yeah.
I guess they were saying that in Ghostbusters it happened, but so it's like it's possible, but there were a bunch of people who like failed miserably. So it was kind of like taboo, and people assumed it wasn't like it.
Jesus. Fucking California.
So Bruce Willis, John McClane, is a New York cop coming to LA to visit his estranged wife and their kids. Not his sister, like I had guessed in our last episode.
Close, but no cigar.
And Holly, his wife, is working at
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Was there a point in time or a game in which if you answered a question correctly, you won a cigar?
It's not ringing a bell.
Does the phrase "close but no cigar" make any sense to you?
Yeah, I don't know what the meaning of that phrase is.
As you were saying, Holly works for Nakatomi Corporation.
Right, and it's their Christmas party. So this is therefore, there's like the very annoying debate as to whether or not this is a Christmas movie.
What? There is no debate. It is a Christmas movie.
Okay, here's my take on it. Doesn't fucking matter. Who cares?
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's set around Christmas time. There's some Christmas music played. They're having a Christmas party. But I mean, other than that, whatever.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, yeah, good point. So anyways, the general idea, I was just trying to do like a big picture.
Yep.
John McClane gets to the party, and some German terrorists, or we're led to believe at first that they're terrorists, take everyone at the Nakatomi Corporation Christmas party hostage.
Hilarity ensues.
Their only hope is John McClane.
Or Ellis, negotiating his way out.
Right. So I was texting Will sporadically while I was watching this movie. At one point, I said, "Oh, Ellis is my favorite character so far." Oh boy, I was wrong on that one.
Wrong. I mean, even if you like the bad guy, like if you're like, "Oh, he's the heel. I don't like him or I like him because I'm not supposed to like him." He's playing a good. I don't even understand what could have made you text me that in the beginning.
I just thought he was like a funny douchebag. I thought that was his role, was just going to be like a funny douchebag. He's like doing coke in her office, and he's laughing way too hard at the boss's jokes, and
and when he's
talking about the Rolex.
Yeah, the Rolex thing was so painful. Oh,
yeah,
God.
It was rough. Yeah, I just thought he was doing a good job of being like a despicable asshole.
Okay. See, when I see that, I don't like it. Well,
I just thought he was doing good.
It's weird. Sometimes I think. Recently, I've noticed that when I watch movies and TV shows, I like nice people that are honest, that don't create drama. But that's so much of what TV and movies are. You know, like think about Lost. Like all they do is keep secrets from each other, and it like blows up into this thing where they're not like enemies. They're not like trying to battle each other.
Right.
But I feel like every episode
you have to have drama.
Yeah, exactly. If they were just like all honest and working together, like if Sawyer was like, "Hey, I found this box of medicine," and the other guy was like, "I'm a doctor. I could help distribute that to people when they need it."
Like, oh, okay.
Great.
There you go.
That was like 3 episodes, and like someone pointing a gun at someone, it would have been gone. It just would have been like, okay, now the sick people are getting better.
So one of the more interesting things that I noticed about this plot is that Hans Gruber and his gang, maybe you can explain this to me because I also was like not necessarily paying attention for 10 or 15 minutes. They kind of introduced themselves as like political terrorists, basically. But their whole thing is just stealing money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you explain that to me? Why they would pretend to be terrorists?
Well, so at some point you see a newscast where they say that Hans Gruber might be part of this like German or European whatever Volksfrei movement or something.
Yeah.
So that just might be where he comes from. So it might be, you know, I don't know, helpful, but you know, to continue the narrative. But I think the importance is getting the FBI involved.
Okay,
if it was a robbery, it might not trigger the FBI, even though it's like hostages. So maybe it would. But I think maybe if it's if there are like demands and you know if there's a negotiation, I think that's the playbook that they later reference. Carl Winslow says, "Well, they got the FBI playbook and they're reading it page by page or whatever he says."
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And in that playbook, one of the things that they're supposed to do is cut the power to the building, which is absolutely consequential and essential to their plan.
Because that's how they open the last layer of
the
security.
Electromagnetic lock, the 7th layer on the...
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why. Okay. That makes sense. So that's why when he's like, "We want all of our comrades freed across the world," and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're just trying to incite the FBI.
I think so, and maybe to stall and like distract, and you know, maybe for some sort of narrative. But I think as far as like the movie setting it up, I think they're implying that requires the FBI to be involved, and the FBI in being involved requires the step-by-step thing of cutting off the power, which they need.
Gotcha. Very smart. Very smart. Yeah. So, but their whole thing is just stealing money.
Yeah. So the Nakatomi Corporation has $640 million in bearer bonds.
What are bearer bonds, Will?
I should know better, but I don't. But I believe they're a financial instrument, like a bearer instrument. It really just means like it's kind of like a cash equivalent sort of thing where whoever holds this thing owns it. There's no like it's not in someone's name. Yeah. So it can be like traded pretty freely. There's no like middleman. You can just hand someone a bearer bond, and it's like the person who bears it, who like submits it to the government. That's who they pay out. Yeah. So it's a good thing to target if you're going to steal money. And
then the explosive thing is because they want to fake their death.
Yes, they at one point I think Hans says that you know they'll spend a month searching through the rubble, and you know when you steal $640 million, people come looking for you. So they want to kind of disappear. They don't want people looking for them. And by the time people realize they aren't, they'll be on a beach sipping a martini or whatever. Martini doesn't. I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't seem like a beach drink.
Not necessarily. No.
A Mai Tai.
Pina colada.
Ooh. Do you think that other countries have pina coladas?
Yeah, for sure.
For some reason, it just doesn't seem like... Are alcohol drinks the same everywhere? Like, obviously, pina colada has the implication that, you know, it's like a Spanish-sounding name, so it seems like...
It's like a beach
Mexican
drink. So, like,
sort of...
anywhere where there's a poolside bar or something
but like
warm and outside.
A white Russian. Like, does everyone serve a white Russian?
Yeah, probably.
Or
I think it's pretty. I think a lot of things are universal in like the Western world. Yeah, I think the Western world all kind of has the same.
Okay. Anyways, so that's their plan to fake the hostage negotiation thing, trigger the FBI, get into the vault, take the bearer bonds, get everyone to the roof, blow it up, and then escape via an ambulance which they have buried in the parking lot.
Right.
or a parking garage. But John McClane has a different plan.
Yeah. I don't know. What else should we talk about in this movie? Argyle was funny.
Argyle's great. Yeah.
Of course I'm still coming by later. Sweetheart, have I ever lied to you?
The cops were all incredibly dumb.
Yeah, pretty much. One of my favorite, that the captain has a few good lines, but one of my favorite is when, how do they blow up the helicopter? I forget how they blow it up. But anyway, the two FBI guys, which I believe it's Johnson and Johnson.
Yes, it is. Big and Little.
Which
Big and
is
Little Johnson.
Amazing. When their helicopter explodes, the captain's like, oh, looks like we're going to need a couple of new FBI guys.
Yeah, I noticed.
that was great.
I watched a couple YouTube videos about Die Hard, and someone pointed out that. So at the beginning, when John McClane is riding in the limo, it's like, you know, kind of like an exterior shot. Then it goes closer, and he's sitting next to Argyle. He's in the passenger seat.
Yeah,
which is like funny. And then when the police chief, not the FBI, but the police chief, when he comes up, he's sitting in the back of, you know, his Cadillac or whatever they're in, like, because he relishes his authority, and John McClane is more of an everyman.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when you, on the last episode, when you were referencing what you thought Die Hard was about, you were like, so he comes in and it's LA, and then he takes a cab to the thing, and I was like, whoa, hold on.
He takes a limo, yeah.
I was like, it's very important to know that it's like a private car sort of vibe.
And yeah, because Argyle really saves the day.
Also, I think it's funny and obvious, but maybe at the time it was normalized, but Argyle's like, yeah, man, this has everything.
CD, CB, TV, telephone, full bar.
Oh, yeah, he, like, the emphasis on, there was a few scenes, like the Rolex, when he said the Rolex thing, I was like, well, this is probably going to come back later. And then the CD, CB, like the way that it was phrased was kind of like,
yeah, he's like,
wait,
if you were in like a luxury limo, would you be like, remember that thing that truckers have? Like, we got one of those.
You could talk to the truckers.
Or I could, because no one else is supposed to be up here.
Yeah.
Which actually, maybe it's a common thing, because maybe a limo driver might have to like get on there and like talk about traffic if they're doing like an important gig.
Yeah, like before cell phones were like everywhere.
Or before you had like GPS rerouting you, that kind of might be a good a driver's tool.
Taxi dispatch.
Anyway, it's very important. Like Argyle becomes kind of like an important part.
Definitely. I loved seeing Reginald VelJohnson / Carl Winslow. He was great and had a huge role in this movie. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, him and McClane are talking to each other kind of a lot, and so they were all in the same radio frequency, right? Like they were all just like listening to each other talk.
I think that I don't think so. I think there's like an implication that the bad guys were on one channel, but Bruce Willis was on a different one. I guess he knew what the emergency band would have been because he called in.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
No fucking shit, lady. Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Great quote. So he jumps on that, and then I think he jumps on a radio band, which is odd because there's nothing else happening on it. But that is the channel that I think Carl Winslow uses to reach him.
Gotcha. For some reason, I just thought that they were all on the same channel, and like Hans Gruber was listening to John McClane be like, "If you see my wife."
I didn't say sorry enough, but I'm sorry. I think that they could easily have done that, and I don't know if they were or weren't, but I think there was switching back and forth, which was not addressed.
I liked Bonnie Bedelia as Holly. Yeah, when he gets to Nakatomi Plaza, when McClane gets to Nakatomi Plaza, he's like, "Oh, it's this stupid computerized directory system," and he's looking for a name, and god damn it, she went back to her maiden name.
Yep.
Not good. They really, for an action movie, there really is a lot of emphasis on John McClane's personal life, which just makes you root for him even more.
Right. I think I was reading that maybe it wasn't Brian McTiernan, but maybe it was Jeb Stewart or whoever, the writer. I think he might have been doing thrillers, and this might have been his first action movie, or something like that. But I think he was basically trying to like draw people in and to play up, identifying with him like personally,
right?
Because action movies, it's like you see. How do
you identify with?
Well, I think normally
Rambo.
You'd see them for like 8 seconds of the movie with like their wife being killed, and then it's like Now we take revenge.
Right.
So I think he was trying to like play that up, and I think that was part of it. Also, I think in that scene it's pretty funny where the guy at the front desk is like, "Yeah, use the computer," and he's like searching through and has to go back and then use the maiden name, and then as soon as he clicks on the right button, he's like, Nakatomi Corporation on the 30th floor at Holiday Party. They're the only ones in the building.
Yeah. So much information. It's like
Well-
in Wayne's World when Chris Farley is describing the routing of the limo.
Right.
Mr. whatever his name is.
Yeah, I guess I just thought it was funny. It's like, well, he didn't check his ID. Like whole interaction was just so that Bruce Willis had to find out where he was going,
Right.
and there was only one destination.
Right.
Like the security guard wouldn't have sent him anywhere but the...
Well, they have to establish that A, Nakatomi Plaza uses computers.
True.
B, Holly changed her name.
True.
C, there's security cameras. D, there's multiple security guards.
True. Yeah, I guess you're right. It was important. I just thought it was funny. He like went through quite a
I
process.
mean, yes, like wouldn't he just be like, if you're going to see anybody here, they're probably here.
Also, I think at that point we're still pretty early in, and maybe it's the second. I think when he first gets to the party, he like comments. The guy kisses him on the mouth, and he's like, California or Los Angeles, and he does the same thing at the airport when he lands. And there's this like super hot blonde chick in like white leggings that jumps into her boyfriend's arms, and he's like,
right,
man, California. He's like shaking his head, and it's so New York. And it's so funny that they cast him as this like cranky New Yorker who shows up in LA, and it's like there's beautiful people and everyone's super friendly and the weather is great, and he's still like miserable and complaining. Right. And I felt like, that is real. That's exactly like, it seems over the top, but that I'm sure that's how I felt and how I acted when I first got here.
Yeah. Why is everybody smiling? And
yeah, what's going on?
Why can't I just go outside wearing a t-shirt? Like I should have to be suffering in some way.
California. I thought it was very interesting that Bruce Willis, I guess, only had like 10 weeks off of moonlighting because that was like his bread and butter, his main deal.
Yeah.
So he came in and shot, and they say that during filming, between takes, he didn't spend much time with the rest of the cast because he opted to spend time with his new partner, Demi Moore. And in contrast, Bedelia and Vel Johnson spent most of their time with Rickman in between scenes.
To get some acting tips?
I don't know. I think just chilling, just hanging. Maybe he's a cool dude.
Vel Johnson had no scenes with Rickman.
Right. That's what they're saying. Like in between.
Oh, like on their downtime.
I don't know if it's necessarily like downtime. I think it's like sort of on set between takes, sort of like, or maybe it is like because they were in LA, so I assume I guess Rickman wasn't local, but I don't know. The others seem like very Hollywoody. Either way, I guess they're saying they were friends despite like being enemies on set, and also found an interesting part that there was a scene deleted.
Okay.
So I guess the scene of Theo, who I guess is the tech nerd.
Yeah.
He gets an ambulance from the truck at the end. And I'm guessing that was their escape plan, is that they were all going to like go to the bottom, get in the ambulance, and then somehow like blend in the chaos, which seems crazy because the garage was locked. So they would have had to like bust through the gates and then explain that. And then like,
let's just pretend they had a plan.
Sure. I mean, they had like chainsaws and stuff. So maybe they were just going to like saw a hole in it and creep out the back, and then like sirens, whatever. So I guess that wasn't originally there. In the beginning, if you like go back, the truck that they get out of isn't big enough for there to be an ambulance in it, and you just see them like rolling up the door and walking out as a group.
Yeah.
So I didn't really notice it, because you couldn't tell what was in there. But I guess when you go back, it's like definitely not. But there was a scene of them in the van showing that there was no ambulance, where they synchronized their watches. And they had, apparently they had very distinct Tag Heuer watches. So that is why Bruce Willis identifies Gruber when he's pretending to be Bill Clay. He sees his watch.
Great scene.
And I guess at one point, Bruce Willis like takes one of the guy's watches. And I guess he notices that they all have the same exact like distinctive watch.
Okay.
So that's how he does it. So it's like a weird thing that we don't get to see. They took out the distinctive synchronizing of swatches.
Speaking of the scene where McClane and Gruber like are playing a mind game
Right.
with each other. I read that Alan Rickman, like he was like, yeah, I can do an American accent, and he did the American accent. And I guess the director was like not at all happy with it, and they were gonna dub it, but never ended up doing it. And so I guess that like that's a sore spot for the director was like, yeah, we should have overdubbed his American accent.
Really weird. I was reading something completely different. And I'll probably never be able to find it.
This was in a video, so
I read that that it wasn't in there until Rickman like did a voice an accent in the background, and then they were like, oh shit, you can do one. Oh, here it is. Okay, I don't know who Silver is, but Silver wanted a scene between McClane and Gruber before the film's end, but D'Souza, who he like did a rewrite and was like part of the writing script team, but D'Souza couldn't think of a plausible scenario until he happened to overhear Rickman affecting an American accent. He realized this would allow Gruber to disguise himself when he met McClane.
interesting.
The earlier scene of Takagi's murder was reworked to conceal Gruber's identity.
Yeah, I watched a video that was not saying that. It was saying that there was disappointment over his accent.
Right. That seems like they're contrasting quite severely.
Well, you know YouTube,
True.
anything for the clicks.
The shooting script did not originally include the meeting between McClane and Gruber, pretending to be a hostage. It was only written in when it was discovered that Rickman could perform an American accent. John McTiernan later on thought differently on his accent and felt it should have been dubbed over. Me personally, I don't think it's Alan's finest accent.
And this podcast is legit. We've got Stacy doing our fact checking.
Pull that up, Jamie. There were several like one-liners in this movie that have reverberated through history.
Mm-hmm.
Yippee Ki Yay Motherfucker.
That was the classic for sure.
Welcome to the Party, Pal.
Oh my God, that one is so good. I forgot about it. Both times I've recently rewatched this movie, and it's so much fun when it happens.
See, I've definitely seen that clip of Bruce Willis hanging out of a broken window and saying that.
I mean, that's a great GIF to send. Yeah, for sure. Or a meme.
I never would have guessed that it was him trying to get a cop to like stay on the scene.
After throwing a body through.
Yeah, it looks like, in my mind, when I hadn't seen the movie, it looked like he just pushed somebody out of like he just killed a bad guy. Welcome to the Party, Pal.
No, he's addressing Carl, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't be easy to connect those dots, I don't think. And that is a very good way of getting the police to take you seriously.
Yeah, for sure. What else is a good one? I guess it's not a quote. Hans reads it, but it's like, now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho. The air vents one is one of my favorites. Again, I forgot it until when John McClane is talking to himself in the air vent. He says,
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
I like that one.
The quarterback is toast.
Oh, that one's so good. Apparently that was ad-libbed.
Seems like it, because the first scene with him, they're talking about a basketball game.
Oh, right.
And it just seems like he's just like, and Worthy passes it to Johnson. It seemed like it was maybe a little ad-libbed.
They said there was like flexibility depending on the actors' performances, like in the moment. So they like kept some characters longer and killed off others sooner, depending on like how they were. It was like a Survivor style.
Yeah.
To bring this full circle.
An immunity challenge.
Yeah, which is kind of awesome. It's a cool way to like, I mean, especially when you're talking about henchmen. It's like, whatever.
Right. There are some colorful henchmen in this movie.
But yeah, they were given room to improvise, to see, to like keep it going. And the quarterback is Toast was one of them. Ellis is Hans, Booby, I'm your white knight.
Yeah,
apparently that was a little ad lib. And the henchman Uli, which is your favorite guy, when he steals the chocolate bar during the SWAT assault, that was ad libbed.
Yes, who also played Genghis Khan in Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Very unforgettable look that guy has.
Yeah, he does have kind of a crazy look.
Because he looks basically the same as Genghis Khan, as he does in Die Hard. Same look. Fu Manchu, long hair, crazy eyes. Do you think that the SNL character / movie star MacGruber is a direct Die Hard reference? McClane Gruber?
Oh, yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess so, because it's a MacGyver reference, first and foremost, but maybe, well...
That is one of the most underrated films in recent times. It is so fucking funny.
Were there a lot of skits, or was that purely based off?
Yeah, it was a few skits at least, but that movie is hilarious.
I don't know. MacGyver has the Mac in it, so it could just. I mean, it could be Hans Gruber plus MacGyver. It could easily be that, but
Oh, I think that there's a really funny scene with you were just mentioning Ellis talking to Hans,
right.
and there's a really funny kind of like understated joke, I think, in that scene where whatever he's like doing blow throughout the whole movie up until he goes in to talk to the terrorists.
Right.
And he like introduces himself, and it cuts away to another scene, and then it comes back, and one of the henchmen is pouring him a Coca-Cola.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that he asked, "Do you guys have any Coke?"
Oh, I see.
And they poured him a Coke.
Right. That's I like that. That's not bad.
Yeah, I hope that's the joke because it's pretty funny.
Well, one of the videos that I was watching was reference the amount of Coke. It's like one of those like tall, skinny glasses, and it literally has like an inch and a half of Coke at the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's just really funny to think, like, I don't know, like, why would you pour someone that much? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like insulting.
They're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him, so they
Right.
don't want to waste the soda.
Right. Maybe the henchman was like, I could drink the rest of the Coke if he's only going to take a sip before he dies at most. So.
So I guess we could also talk about the definite references to Always Sunny, or to Die Hard in Always Sunny. So there is the air vent thing, which is like number one.
Right, crawling in, and why he wears the wife beater? I mean, who knows? But
Right.
But he's wearing the wife beater. He's in the.
Well, he was wearing a sweater, but it got too hot.
Oh,
So he
right.
Takes
oh,
it
okay.
off. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Makes total sense. The bad room is the bad floor on in Die Hard.
Broken
'cause
glass. Yeah.
Hans tells what's his name to shoot the glass. 'Cause he
Also,
knows
that
he's
scene
barefoot.
is so good because he says it in German and he like doesn't understand him.
Yeah.
Or
and
he
says
doesn't
it in
believe him.
English.
So yeah, he has to say it in English to really reinforce it.
The taping of a gun to the shirt, which makes sense in Die Hard, does not make sense in Always Sunny. Whatever.
Right. Because they thought they were escaping, but yeah, he could have just kept it wherever he kept it before when he was climbing around in the vents.
And Yippee Ki Yay Mr. Falcon.
I basically think it's just Frank's
Yeah, it is.
storyline. I don't.
And the laughing at each other when like he's got his hands behind his back.
Right.
That was all pretty
I'm trying to think.
reminiscent.
I mean, they had a hostage situation, so that premise is there as well. But I feel like they could have probably done more references in the.
There was a lot of cool stunts in this film. The fire hose thing really got my palms sweaty.
The initial jump or the
After the initial jump.
the untying of it as he's being dragged
Exactly.
down.
Yeah. Real scary stuff. Also the tension when he's doing in the air vents when he's hanging from the gun
Yeah, and the strap is slowly.
strap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was
And
reading
then
that
his,
the
like-
stuntman that did that fell further than they wanted him to. Like,
Oh really?
he was supposed to just go like a few feet, but he ended up going like 10 feet or something.
Oh shit. Yeah, I read
That was
that when Hans Gruber falls, the Alan Rickman's performance is enhanced because they
Right.
were like 3, 2, and then dropped him like earlier than they thought he was going to.
Right.
'Cause
So,
I know it's in super slow mo, but he had to have fallen like kind of far.
well, yeah, I was reading that they actually had to do some crazy thing where they like automated the focusing because
It's so slow.
Yeah, it takes like 1.5 seconds to fall, and it was like the 32 feet or something onto like they called it a blue screen, like a green screen air cushiony thing.
Yeah.
So I guess it was too fast for someone to accurately like move the focus, so they had to like do it somehow coordinated that way. And then the camera they used was like 270 feet per second, so it was like 10 times faster than a normal camera.
fast.
So so I guess that 1.5 second fall could have been 15 seconds.
Right. Yeah, and the special effects and the practical effects in this movie are pretty cool. Also because you kind of know like this is the last few years before computers, and so it's all like miniatures and real explosions and Alan Rickman falling in slow motion.
Yeah, that's what I referenced that earlier as like sort of a joke, but I thought it was pretty insane that there was a 380-foot long painting of a cityscape And that's what they used, I think, for like the backdrop from when you're in like the 30th floor looking out the windows and things like that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It was like the background to make that set look like it was actually on the 30th floor. Yeah, it was a 380-foot long matte painting. It had animated lights and other lighting techniques to present both moving traffic daytime and nighttime.
Would not have noticed it.
Right.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah,
I didn't
like-
notice it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's crazy. 400, almost 400 feet long. It was just like a painting that, like, I guess wrapped around. I don't know. It was insane.
Yeah, the C4 detonation in the elevator shaft is pretty badass.
Classic, yeah.
Obviously, the helicopter getting exploded is pretty badass.
Now, I was just thinking, how did it explode? I was saying that
Didn't
earlier.
Didn't they detonate
The roof?
the explosives on the on the roof, like on the
Right.
landing pad?
Right, and I guess it was just close enough that it hit.
Yeah, that whole scene is just kind of chaotic because Bruce Willis is trying to get everyone off of the roof, and they're not really moving, so he fires his gun, which makes the FBI
Right,
fire their guns at him, thinking he's a terrorist.
right.
And then he gets everybody off, and then he blows. Well, I guess it's hard to say who gets the blame for that.
Right. I think someone on the Team Gruber explodes the roof.
Right. Oh yeah, you're right. That's stupid.
But I don't know if they know like when or why. I guess maybe they hear the fire and they're like the gunfire,
Yeah.
and they're like, all right, it's time.
Yeah, I was just saying more like they're chasing down Bruce Willis, but
Right,
that
right.
is kind of inconsequential, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, they seem pretty intent.
Just like Saigon.
Right.
Wasn't Saigon the like retreating?
Well,
Maybe not the offensive.
well, I think it was just, I'm sure there was someone there with, in a helicopter with a machine gun mowing down innocent people. That was actually a funny point because that guy is like a psycho and he's like ready to. I think he says that they'll lose maybe 20% of the hostages
Yeah.
because he's just going to open fire.
Yeah.
And then he says it's just like Saigon and the other dude, which he can't hear him because it's too loud, I guess. But he said, I was in middle school.
Asshole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Davi, the crazy FBI guy. Do you recognize him from anything?
Yeah, he has that like, I don't remember what I know him from, but.
Goonies.
What?
He was one of the bad guys in Goonies.
Oh, he was the
Yeah.
brother.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and he like sings in Italian and it's really scary.
Right.
I guess maybe it feels different as an adult, but when I was young, whatever that scene was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen Goonies in a very long time, but I'm pretty sure that we're talking about the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's the nerdy guy with glasses. There's Mama from Throw Mama from the Train. Man,
Right.
it all comes full circle. Then there's him. Yeah, okay, cool. And then his brother Sloth.
And his brother Sloth. I don't know. This movie was just interesting because it's like it's not. It has like tons of dark material, but it's also kind of like playful or like sort of comedic, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely a unique action movie, and I see why people love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a classic, bro.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm reading here that an early design for the Nakatomi logo was too reminiscent of a swastika. It was redesigned. Cool. I know what I was going to say about the ending that I found amusing was when McClane comes out and he's got his wife and he's like hanging out with Carl Winslow, and the police chief is like, McClane, we got to debrief with you now. You got to answer for all this damage and
Right.
yada, yada, yada. And then, Carl Winslow kills the henchman that is somehow still alive, even though he was hanged by a chain.
Yeah, we probably should have mentioned that ridiculousness.
You've seen the movie probably at this point. So he's like, he wants to debrief. He seems very angry at him. And then Carl Winslow shoots and kills the bad henchman for the second time. And then I guess that debrief never happens because then it's just Argyle,
Busting through.
Mrs. McClane, and John riding home. Yeah, and when we were texting about it, we were talking about how funny it was that Argyle came like blasting up to the cops at a very high rate, and the cops didn't like shoot at him or anything. I
Yeah,
mean, there was some alarm raised, but like no one was like. But he was, as Will pointed out, he waved which we all know is the universal sign.
Yeah, he was like, "No, it's good, don't worry."
No, it's me, Argyle. One person knows me here.
Yeah, we also didn't talk about the Carl Winslow being the child murderer that he is.
Yeah, there's some weird. It's a different time, so it's like you're supposed to be feeling empathy for this cop because he feels so bad about killing or shooting this kid, unarmed kid, that he took himself off the street and got a desk job. But yeah, in modern times, it doesn't quite come off as empathetic, I don't think.
Yeah, some Hollywood magic. Also, it's like modern times. Do we just know about it more now? Like,
Yeah, that could be it.
was that because I rewatched it recently, actually this Christmas, and when that came out in the movie, like not originally, but when I saw it recently, I thought, oh shoot, like yeah, maybe it has been happening forever. You know, maybe this is just a normal thing, and we're just seeing it now more often.
Right. We have the internet. And
Right. Although I guess like I don't know, maybe homicides are up in general. Maybe like I don't know what national trends, what's happening, but places like New York were a lot more dangerous, I believe, in the 80s.
Right.
So I guess I don't know how that all correlates.
But anyways,
Tune in next week to find out.
On Die Hard 2.
Yeah, there's like 5 more.
Cool. Yeah, I had a great time. I didn't think it was like world changing, but I could see why it was so popular. That's my final review.
Great. I thought it was a great movie, super fun, classic, makes me feel good. Maybe it's nostalgia, but it seems like everyone's coming around to it, so...
Right. I certainly am just lacking the nostalgia part of it, so...
All right, sounds good. Should we see each other later?
We appreciate everyone, all of you. Will, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, buddy. Miss you.
All right, I want to hit stop on this.
Okay. Stop it off. See ya.